Hi, I'm Julia Shotzberger, and I'm going to teach you today how to make paper flowers as your Hygge craft for February. You can get started with this and end up making enough that you can be delivering dozens of roses to friends around the community, and maybe get in touch with some family members and have a little rose exchange. So these flowers are going to be made out of discarded books. They have lived a good life. They have been loved, and now they need to be repurposed. So don't feel too badly as you're ripping apart the book. All right. So this is what our end result is going to be, and let's get started. So I wanted to first share with you that the idea for the paper flower craft came from the Central New York magazine, the December issue, which you might still have floating around at home. We are going to be sharing the instructions that are there with you as well. So if you don't want to keep watching the video over and over again, this will be a good resource to just kind of follow along. All right.
As I mentioned.
Okay. So as I mentioned, the book that is going to be in your kit is one that is a library discard, or it has come from the barn where the friends have either too many copies or it's not in good enough shape for them to resell. So don't feel guilty. You're gonna open it up and you're gonna rip out a page. And honestly, that first rip is a little hard for a book lover. All right. But after you've done that, you're ready to get going. The other thing you want to keep in mind is that depending on what's going on the page will determine how your flower works. So this page that I just happened to take is almost all white, which is fine and is a nice contrast, but to get ones with more print, or if you want to focus on some interesting font, maybe at the beginning of each chapter, just kind of work with where you're cutting your page, and that will help you change up what kind of flower, what your pattern of your flower looks like. So I played around with a lot of different sizes, and I found that a width of page between like 4.5 and 5 inches is a nice size to give you one of these good size flowers. But there is nothing wrong with smaller little flowers, right? Little rosebuds, that sort of thing. So the thing that is going to make the difference in your flower size is just how big you're making your square. So again, got lots of pages in your book, play around with that. What you're going to want though is 3 pages that are the same width. So I've pre-prepared 2 of them here. And then this one I've marked. And again, one of the ways I'm changing what I'm seeing on my page is I'm sometimes taking it just from this side, sometimes taking it from the middle. I've pre-marked the edges, and then I would just cut those off. All right. So what we do next then is we've got our 4.5 or 5 inch size paper. We're gonna fold it to make a square. And then we're just going to cut along the edge. So from your own supplies at home, you're gonna need a ruler for your nice straight edges and to measure those rough edges. You're gonna need a scissor, pencil, and you also are going to need a hot glue gun. Once you have your triangle, save the rest of that page, because this could either make a small flower, be reused, or you could use that to cut some of your leaf pattern. All right, so we fold it once, fold it again. And the other thing to keep in mind as you're working on this, take a look at that text, because you don't want roses that have swear words or some horrible saying on it. We want positive flowers that will make people happy. So we've folded it 2 times. So we have a little kind of triangle. And then we're going to cut this to make it look like an ice cream cone. The deeper your cut, the more you're going to have in terms of a petal to roll over. But you don't have to go really deep if you want a more open flower. Once we're done, we open that up, and then what you need is a combination of 1 petal, 2 petal, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there's always going to be a couple petals left over. Let's see what I've already got going. I've got a 4 here. And here's a 3. And a 2. And a 1. All right, so we don't need another 2. We need a 5 yet. And because you're going to be making multiple flowers, if you use pretty much the same size paper for some of them, then you'll be able to keep using these little edges. So now I've got a 2 and a 3 for the next flower, and then I need a 6. Yes, is that correct? I hope that's right. Now this is where your hot glue gun comes in. What you want to do is kind of roll this open, kind of open it up, combine your edges so that you're going to have your wide petal. And I recommend having either a cutting board or a plate or something to keep that hot glue gun from dripping over your table. Doesn't need a lot. Because all you want to do is combine those edges. And make an opening there. So we're going to do that for each of the different sizes, the 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so I've already put together a few of these. The ones that I wanted to take a minute and really explain are the 2 and the 1, because in the book it said to roll the petals, and I started off making just a mess trying to roll the petals. What they're really trying to tell you is to combine that long edge, and when you get to the just 1 and 2 petal size, it really does take that rolling together and getting your kind of fingers sometimes in the glue, but what you're trying to do is make that cone. So the 2 works pretty well. The 1 is really hard. And I've actually sometimes even taken my skewer that you're going to be using later for your stem and kind of using that to help me get it like almost started. And then I've got the bit of the roll going and I can glue that. Now, if you don't have a hot glue gun, there's a possibility that this would work using like an Elmer's glue, but you would have to hold it for a while until it really set. And I honestly didn't try that, so I highly recommend using hot glue. And if need be, you know, kind of put the word out, asking any friend who might have one to just borrow theirs. All right, so that's what you're looking for, is that kind of rolled cone. All right, now the next piece is you're going to start putting the petals inside of each other. And you start with the smallest to the largest. I have found that sometimes the smaller rolls end up sticking up a little more than I might have wanted. So as you get used to playing around with it, you can also trim the bottom. You also want a curl to your petal. And the way you're going to do that is, it doesn't work on the single, but even as low as the 2 petal one, you're going to take your skewer and you're going to roll that paper before you glue, because it does get a little harder once you're gluing. And one of the things I started doing is I would glue 2 together, and then while they were kind of hardening, then I would curl the next one in preparation. So see how we've got that nice little curl going. So again, little blob of glue at the bottom, and just stick it down in there. And then while that sets, we curl the 3rd one. And we keep doing this over and over again. So the tighter you roll, the more you get that kind of curled shape. But again, that's totally up to you. Maybe you want one that you don't roll at all. Just play around with it, and you can adjust after the fact too. I was trying to make some that looked more like rose buds by not doing as much curling, and I didn't use all 6 petals. I think I stopped at 4. So just keep sliding them in, one after the other. It's nice to adjust kind of what your angle is, so you've got the contrast of where the fold is. And this gives you another opportunity to kind of check to see what's showing up with your fold. Make sure, as I said, you don't have any uncomplimentary phrases on your roses. If you have old books around your house that have outlived their usefulness and maybe have a little bit different color to the paper, it might be nice to alternate kind of the cream colors. So maybe you have another book that you could use that has different font, different color. You could even come to the barn and they would probably be happy to give you books that they're having to discard. So you don't have to stop at just the book that I gave you. So you can see how that's starting to come together. You could stop right there and you have a little rosebud. Or you keep going. And bigger and more open for your rose. Actually, that one is already lost track. And if you forget and you haven't curled the paper, don't panic. You can curl it after the fact. It's just a little more difficult. Once you get going on this, you can make quite a few in pretty short time. And one thing I discovered during COVID is I don't have to keep a clean house anymore. And so I left this set up on my kitchen counter. And while I'd wait for something to heat up in the oven or water to boil for pasta, I'd actually make another flower. Someday we'll have to clean our houses, but not right now. And we have our last one here. So I didn't try to make it with 7 petals. You probably could. The trick is that you need enough of a difference between them as you're kind of sliding them together, rolling them together. I think if you went any bigger, it would be a really open, very much open petal. But that might look interesting too, like the petals are about to drop from the rose. So once this is all secure, which is the other great thing about hot glue, it just took a couple seconds almost, you are going to cut off the bottom here, just a little tiny bit, just to give you a little bit of an opening for your skewer. We're going to be giving you some large skewers in your kit, but you can also use smaller ones, and the skewers are available at Tops, at the dollar store, or you can order them online. So again, don't be limited to what's in your kit. It's easy enough to get some more. The instructions don't call for doing this, but I felt a little better about it being secure by just putting, again, that little bit of glue at the end, and then you just find that opening and kind of twist on through into your rose until you think you're far enough in that it's really going to be secure. And there you go. Now, if you want, it's really easy to add a petal. You can use some of these and just use that shape, or if you want to be a little more horticulturally correct, you can cut out a petal in more of the shape of what a rose petal kind of looks like. And this is another great opportunity if there's a font, there's interesting text that you want to highlight, because this is, exactly where it's going to go. You can kind of focus on that as you're cutting it. Again, I just put a little bit of glue on the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of wrap it around the skewer. And as soon as you do that, it bends. So depending on where you're placing it, it can be kind of pointing up, pointing down. It can be a couple small ones. Whatever your interest is, you can change up your flowers. So I hope you are enjoying making the flowers. As I said, you can just keep going. That book will create many, many flowers for you. And once you put them together, you have a great little gift for someone or just to decorate your own home. So enjoy, and again, stay safe. Hygge from home.